Got it. Okay, it's going live. This I think this is going live right now. This will be our last session with Azure training for basics. And we are live, and I'm going to give the floor to Ryan.
Hi guys, thank you for joining us. I'm just going to share my screen, so hopefully you guys can see it. I'll just move this to the side. What we want to talk about is we just want to cover some tagging. What are Azure tags? How would we use them, and why would we use Azure tagging at the end of the day? Again, we've done most of the basics, fundamentals on Azure. We've covered quite a lot. So this will be the last video on the basics of Azure. Maybe Kevin down the line might run an advanced course on Azure. If we did that, then obviously we'd go into Bastion, firewalls, and just-in-time access, and a whole lot of other features. And of course, there's monitoring and all sorts of things. But Azure tagging is one of those features in Azure that is overlooked because it's in my opinion, it's one of those gems that are hidden there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create a tag. And literally, this is going to be a very, very short lab. So I would go along, and if I had to type in here tags in the search menu and bring this up, you can see on my Azure tags, it allows me to tag my resources. And the reason you'd want to tag your resources is because if you have a huge amount of resources and you need to monitor them, you can tag them. And if I click on the tag that I've created there, it takes me straight to that resource. So it's very, very good to manage your infrastructure with. So how do we go about creating a tag? Well, there's a few ways to do that. Obviously, you have to have a resource. So if I went to a resource group and I've got, let's go and create a new resource group. And once that fires up, we can create one. And I'll just call this tag lab, and I'd click create and click create. And this would go ahead and create that lab. Obviously, there's nothing in there, but I can go ahead and I can tag this lab. So I'd go into the resource itself, and I'll call this, I don't know, tag lab. And again, it's giving it a name. And you might say, I don't know, Auckland servers. And you could click apply. And that would go and apply that tag. Now, if I went back into tags at the top, obviously I've used tags, so it's there. If you don't see it, you can just type in TAG. And if I clicked on TAG there, you can see now I've got that tag that's been, that I've called Tag Lab, and I've called it Auckland servers. And if I click in there, I could have all of my Auckland servers in there as well. So, there's a lot of cool things that you can do with tagging in terms of managing your resources. I will go into my virtual machines. And as you can see, I've got some virtual machines running here. If I click on that virtual machine that I have running live, it's a data center DC lab. I could go ahead and I could tag this, and I could call this WVD DC, and I could call this, for my own benefits that I know what it is, I could call this, say, the Windows server, and then I could, and then we'll just go back, and I'll just say this is part of my WDS platform, and I could say Windows Server DC, so I know it's a domain controller, and I could click apply. And that would go and apply that tag to that server. And as you can see, the tag's applied because we see it over here highlighted, and it tells me. So again, if I go back into tags and whack the tag there, you can see now I'm building my list out. So if I go to tags, it's going to be easier for me to manage. I know this is my Windows Virtual Desktop DC. I could call this tag something else. So let's say, for argument's sake, I said, oh, well, I wanted to change this tag name to say, I don't know, virtual desktop groups. You could click on that on that tag, and of course it takes you straight to your virtual machine. And of course, if I come back into my tags, you can see I've got that tag over there. So we can go ahead and delete the tag, or if you wanted to, we could say, well, let's go ahead and just call this server group. And I'll go ahead and I could say apply those changes. And we'll just give it a second. That will go ahead and apply those changes for us. And it's made that name change there for us. So I can go back again, like I say, into my tags, select tags, and there the name has changed. Now that's better. I know that is the Windows Virtual Desktop server group. And if I click on there, I've only got one server. And of course, I could go through and manage stuff. Give it a bit of time. This will filter my resources through. It's because I made the name change. It needs a few seconds to catch up. So tagging is really great for tagging your stuff. You can tag anything you wanted. I mean, like here, I've got my Vnets that I've created. I could click on that Vnet too. And I can go ahead and I could tag this as well. I could call this exactly what it is at the bottom there. You know, if you have a look here, I've got this name. I'm a bit of a lazy person. I can just copy that and I could just paste that in there. So I know what this, and I could call this WVDS subnet Vnet. And I could click apply, and that would go ahead and apply that tag. So having tags will help you identify loads of resources as you go through. And as you can see, there's that tag there. If I click on that tag again, it will populate, and I can go through and manage my infrastructure once it's updated. So having tags in your environment is really important. So when you create a new resource, like we'll do here, we've created a resource called a resource group called Tag Lab. We could go ahead and change that tag, and always pay attention, because you can see it's been tagged, because by clicking on that tag there as well, it takes me straight back to that resource group, and obviously there's nothing in there. And exactly the same again, if I come back into my tags, and like I say, it's pretty straightforward. It's not hard to do. It's up to you how you would want to tag your resources and tag bits and pieces. And as you can see here, there's my lab. I told you, just needed to refresh. I could click on that, and that takes me straight into that lab, or that tag, or that place. So in terms of searching your infrastructure, tidying up your infrastructure, tags are really important, because when you get into a production environment, you could go ahead and tag your resources for management purposes. Again, I could click on change over here and go ahead and change what I want that tag name to be. You know, again, if I click on the tag itself, you know, nothing happens here, because we are in the tags and we're in the edit button blade already, sorry. So we can go ahead and change tags or delete tags from here as we are working through creating your tags. So tagging is important when it comes to monitoring all of your resources at the end of the day. I could go ahead here, I could delete all those tags and click apply, and that tag would be deleted. It doesn't delete the resource. That resource will stay there. What it's removing is the tag. If I came back and I said tags again, you can see that tag is gone from there. So tags are all about managing your infrastructure, and you apply tags to all your resources to better troubleshoot your environment, and better to understand what resource you're accessing. And if you don't have tags in your resources, you can struggle to find your resource. But also when it comes to billing and the accounting department and seeing what each resource is costing, you can actually get more information about that by tagging that resource and working within those tags to see what your billing is going to cost. Because once things have been tagged and we go into our billing, and we go into cost management, you can kind of see once this populates, you would start seeing it when I get my next invoice, you'll start seeing my invoices would pop up here. And then I would get an invoice that will say, well, you know, the virtual servers for Auckland cost me $10 a month. The Vnet for the virtual desktop group cost me $4 a month. So when it comes to billing, you have a better picture of what you see on your bill. You just won't see a bill that says Vnet $10, servers $20. Well, which servers, which Vnet? So tagging your resources are critical, but not only that, being a good engineer is what you want to do when you tag stuff. You want to actually go through your cost management. You want to actually see what things are costing you at the end of the day and how much things are costing. Simple as that. We've got one of these new tabs here in cost management called cost analysis, where if you had resources, you could go through and see your cost analysis now of everything that you've done in all the different labs. And you can see here, I've got a live AVD, a virtual desktop system running as a proof of concept for a customer. It's only costing me $2. This lab, server lab that I've done cost me 11 cents. You know, a Sydney lab that I did cost me 9 cents. So a Linux lab that I did cost me 6 cents. So having these costs broken down by tags gives me a better understanding of what that tag will be. The reason that's not there is because that's been deleted. The resource cannot be found. But if that resource was there, I could go in and get some more information about it. So tagging is, like I say, it's one of those things that people overlook. Again, if you go into your services and you go to all, you know, you could find tags by hovering your mouse over that resource and clicking this star. That highlights it, and that star will put it into your favorites. You can see there's a star there. And if I scroll down, there's my tag. Now, if I click on that, click on this tag, I can drag this up to where I want it. I might say, right, I want to put my tag there, and my tag would be at the top. Obviously, I didn't drop it in properly, but of course you could click on that and just drag it up and say, let's drop it there. And you can see, obviously my thing's filled up, but you can structure how you want your resources to work. As you can see, there we go. It moves up the food chain so that you've got your tags as you want to work with in Azure. And of course, you could just drag this up. You might say, well, I want it to go underneath cost management because that kind of work together. And I can just go straight to tags there, and I can see all my tags. A nice thing, like I say, is this is the key here. It enables you to categorize your resources for billing. And of course, it's one of these things that you need to be aware of. So learning how to apply some basic tags is really important for managing your resources, because if you're working in a live production environment, you will have hundreds of tags in place. Hopefully, if you don't have tags, then you're going to struggle to troubleshoot your environment. You're going to struggle to find resources. Think of tags like, and the only way I can put it is think of it like an OU. You know, although it's not a physical OU in Active Directory, think of it as an organizational unit, because it's a folder. I can click on this and say, oh, okay, I want to go to this tab, and this will bring me up all the tabs. And I said, and if I had servers and I added all those servers to this group, I would see a whole list of servers, and it'll be easier for me to troubleshoot as opposed to not having a tag. Then I've got to go into virtual machines. And then once I get into virtual machines, I've got to kind of figure out which virtual machine is for which resource. I'll go to virtual machines, and then I'll say, okay, well, that's a virtual machine I want to get. I know it's part of the resource group. But again, is that resource being shared by Auckland, or is it being shared by Sydney, or is it being shared by New York? So, you know, the accounting department will need to know that. But secondly, you as an engineer, it'll be easier more cost effective for you to troubleshoot. And obviously, if I click on there, I can see that. So you can give it a meaningful name, something that makes sense to you. Or you may have a naming convention in your organization where you want to name stuff so that you can better find them and troubleshoot them. Again, I could just click on that and that will take me straight back to that virtual machine. So there are a lot of things you can do. You can also, run queries on your tags as well. You could query bits and pieces. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with tagging. I know tagging's not the greatest lab out there, but it's one of those hidden gems that you'll be grateful for when you start working. And of course, if you notice, if I select this button, I could assign tags straight from here. By clicking assigning tags, it'll take me straight into the tagging unit, and I could go and assign tags to different resources, and I could go ahead and work from there. The nice thing is we've got this little hyperlink here, and this will fire up a Microsoft web page. And again, tags are used to organize resources, and it's really critical. It's one of those hidden gems that people just, in my opinion, don't really talk too much about it. They just go next, it's done. So it's really important. You can do tags using PowerShell by using some of these commands. You can see it's going to tag that storage group, and that storage group is in a resource called demo group. It says AZ new tag. We give it a resource ID, and of course you can give it a name, and you can kind of also work within PowerShell to find out about your tag. So Microsoft have some really good information when it comes to doing your tags or listing your tags or list by. So you can kind of see they've got some really good things. And you see it says cost center. So your companies would have cost centers because that would go to that cost center, or hang on, that would go to that department. What department do you want to do? Who's going to be paying for that? You can also remove tags from that, and you can apply tags using the CLI as well. And as you can see here, here's the command, create a tag resource. You'll put the tag name there, and so it's pretty straightforward when it comes to creating and listing out your tags. Of course, you could go ahead and type in AZ tag list in Cloud Shell. If I went and did that just to show you, I'm a little bit lazy, so let's just copy this, and we will use a different output format because that other format that they're wanting to output it into, it's a bit difficult to read. Oh, sorry, let me just open up it again. So what I'll do is I'll come back into here. I could go up into Cloud Shell. I could fire up my Cloud Shell. And once it's fired up, I'll just go and paste that command in. And we could see what tags are out there for us. So if I went in there and paste that in and said AZ tag list, we'll kind of go through and say, well, let's pipe that out in JSON format. And yeah, that's the thing. Remember earlier on in the lab, we could just use the up arrow key and we can go out put table. That's better. Now I can read that. Let me drag this up so you've got some real estate. Now that's much better. You can see here, I've got the tag name. Let's put it into an output table. This is the magic command. And you can see there, I've got 3 tags that I've created. And then I can send that off to my manager or copy and paste it into, output it to a text document so that I've got it. So
someone's asking do you get charged for tags?
No, tags is free. You can create as many tags as you want. You can create 1 million tags. You only a tag is just a name. It's like Active Directory. In Azure, in Active Directory, you get, I think it's 50,000 objects for free, or 500,000 objects. I know it's quite a big amount. I've just got to double check. It's either 50,000 or 500,000. So there's no ways an organization, a small company is going to have 50,000 objects. And we're talking about user accounts, We're talking about groups. So user accounts, groups, tags, you don't pay for that. That's all free. The things that you pay for in Azure is running a virtual machine. If you are running a virtual machine, that's what you pay for. If we come into our resource group, you don't pay for your resource group, but I pay for stuff inside the resource group. Active Directory, users, groups, policies, you don't pay for those. You pay for tagging is naming something. So Azure won't charge you to assign a name to it, but they will charge you for stuff inside here. So as you can see in this, let me just give you some more real estate. I've got stuff inside here. So I will be charged a fee for this because as you can see, I've got a Vnet, which is not free. I've got two virtual machines that are part of my Windows virtual desktop deployment group. I've got each virtual machine has its disk, and I've also got a Windows 10 machine. So if you scroll through here, you can see I've got 3 machines in here. So I'm paying for those machines. I'm paying for these resources. The biggest cost would be the virtual machine because it's running. The moment the virtual machine is in a deallocated mode, this stuff all stops running. So I'm not being paid for this. But this is where I could go ahead and tag those resources and click on tags here. So you can have as many tags as you want. If you want it to be, I don't know, if you could tag each resource individually if you wanted to, but that's insane because then you'd have millions of tags or tens of thousands of tags or hundreds of tags. So it's always good to tag a resource probably at the resource group. But again, you can go in and tag stuff if you wanted to. Another nice thing about our environment, if you click on your host thing, let's do this from the beginning. If I come back here and I click on, say, my VM host resource, I go to this tool called Resource Visualizer. And this will visualize a diagram for my whole network. Let's just expand some real estate. And there we go. And I can zoom in to give you some more information. So I've got a diagram and I can move this up or down to however I want to do that so that I can see what my disks are. I can tidy this up. I can move resources by clicking on them and dragging. And of course, you could say reset the diagram, that would set it back. So this gives me all the information. If I hover over here, it tells me information about this network security group. If I hover over here, it gives me information about that IP address or that virtual network. If I click on here, you can see it's telling me information about my virtual network card. And you can see I've got 3 virtual machines. They all signed a virtual network card. They're all part of this same Vnet. They all get a public IP address. And of course, they're all part of a security group. And then of course, I'm now going one step further because I've created a Vnet or a workspace lab for Windows Virtual Desktop. I've created an application group so I can deploy applications out to my host pool in my virtual desktop lab. So you get this nice little diagram, and I'm just zooming in and out to suit your needs. Again, you can reset the diagram. You could choose a resource that you wanted to choose. I might not want all those resources. So there's a lot of things that you can do within the resource visualizer. It helps you understand how your environment works. But again, like I say, your tagging is so crucial when it comes to naming your resources. And again, like I said earlier on, it's probably not the greatest lab to do. It's probably not as exciting as creating a virtual machine or creating a network group or creating a Windows virtual desktop deployment or building a server. But at the end of the day, as you start working with your environment and you start having multiple resource groups, you need to find stuff. You need to troubleshoot stuff. So just going up to the top here, selecting tags or typing in tags, I can bring up my resources. I know, hey, I want to work exactly in this resource group. For example, my Cloud Shell. It takes me straight to my storage group. I could go ahead, click on that storage group, and I can start managing it. And you can see there's a tag. I could change that to storage group. I've called it Azure Cloud Shell because that's what I want to call this. But there's a lot of things that you can do. And the tag helped me get to that resource a lot quicker than trying to search for it. So naming your tags and naming your resources in a meaningful name that makes sense to you, keeping your names in a standard format so that it's easy for you and the rest of your IT team to manage your infrastructure or to find stuff is really important. And again, everything has a tag. You will see the option here to tag stuff. And it's great. And of course, there's my tag there. I could go ahead and delete that tag, or I could rename that tag. And again, coming back to our web page, we can apply tags to templates. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do. As you can see, this is the standard JSON format. That's the format that we saw when we opened up Cloud Shell. By doing that hyphen output table, just made it a lot easier for us to read. So again, there's some good resources about tagging. For example, department finance, department IT, and put stuff in there. Environment, is it production or is it a lab? Is it live or is it post-production or pre-production? So having tags and putting those tags in your environment is a lot easy to manage and thing. And going back, we could assign tags to different individual resources. As you see here in the Microsoft documentation, we can go and apply those tags to those individual resources. And of course, this is the key, tags and billing, because at the end of the day, this is what you want to know when you are being invoiced. What are you paying for? There are some limitations to tags. You can only have 512 characters. And so you don't write a novel of a tag. When I mean a novel, you want to give it a short name and a name that makes sense to you. For storage tags, again, when you're doing storage tags, you're limited to 128 characters. I mean, some people will use those 128 characters. Why you'd want to do that, it's beyond me. And again, tags cannot contain special characters like the backslash, question mark, the @ sign, the percentage sign, or the greater or less sign. You can't use those tags because Azure Front Door doesn't support that. Azure Content Delivery Network, DNS zones. Again, you've got to bear in mind when you're talking about content delivery, Azure Network, DNS zones, private zones, you can only have 15 tags per resource. So these are things that you need to think about. That doesn't apply to everything. It just applies to certain things. So this is a good page to go to. It's not a long page, but it's something to think about when you are applying a resource. Inside a resource group, a subscription has a maximum of 50 tags per name. So if you having a resource group, you can apply 50 tags in that resource group. And that's because, like I said, if you want more, you can. But again, it's something that depending on the type of subscription you have. So reading about tags, finding out about tags is really important in terms of finding your resources. And again, like I said, it's one of those hidden gems that people overlook. And you don't need to tag, just go next, don't worry about tagging. That's fine if you're in a lab environment. But once you start getting into production and you start creating your resource group, you want to tag it so that you can manage it at the end of the day. If you don't tag that resource group, you can have so many resources. You're going to go into that resource group and you're going to go, well, what is that resource? Who's it thing? I'm getting a bill. Why am I getting a bill? What's it for? So you can come through here and you can say, okay, well, let's go and see, are there any tags here? And this kind of gives you a heads up here. You can see you can change tags. Click to add a tag. So there's a lot of things that tagging does that people just take for granted and don't worry about it. But yet, when it comes to billing time, you'll be so grateful you've tagged stuff, trust me. So getting into the habit of tagging your resources, in my opinion, from a real world Azure engineer that looks after live Azure environments, tagging is definitely something you'd want to do to keep control of stuff so that you know what's going on. I always have tags as right on the top of my menu in terms of managing those resources. I can go straight to tags and I can see that. But not only that, when I get my bill from Azure, it'll tell me tagged resource Auckland servers are costing me X. I'm not just going to say, well, you get 20 servers or 40 servers, and that's 40 servers that cost you $2,000. And I don't know who they are. I just know server 1, 2, and 3. Because I've built the Azure environment, I will know. But what about the engineer that comes on board that's new? He doesn't know that. The finance department don't know that. They just say, well, why is this costing so much? Why do we need 40 servers? Or why do we need 10 servers? And then you can explain, well, these are Auckland, this is New York. Oh, okay, all right, that's fine. And it just takes away a lot of headaches and explaining that you don't have to do. So tagging stuff, guys, is important. Again, it's like I just said earlier on, it's probably not the most exciting lab, but it is a lab that is important, that you understand why we have tags, why are they used, and what's the reason about having multiple tags. Again, it all comes down to consolidating and billing at the end of the day, because that's what your company is looking at. We move to the cloud because you want to save money, but you as the IT engineer want to know as well, or the IT manager, what department is paying for what, so that come billing time, we can say, right, the finance department, those servers are running, I don't know, Microsoft Dynamics. They could be running a certain accounting software on there. So that billing will go to the finance department and will come out of their budget to pay for that resource. It's not going to come out of the IT budget, because the IT budget is for fixing and creating and managing resources. Once you build a resource and you hand it over to finance, like if it's a server that's running an accounting application, yes, you look after that server because you're an IT engineer, but that department would have a cost center, and that cost center needs to be billed. And that comes out of the finance budget. You might have another cost center called sales, and those sales might be using Office 365, or they might have a resource. They might be using virtual desktops. So you might have 10 virtual desktops for sales. So that would come out of the sales budget because it's part of their infrastructure. Even though you're IT, again, you're managing the whole infrastructure. When it comes to saving money and departments paying for resources, everything's done by cost center or department, and that department gets billed for that. And if they say, well, why am I being billed $10? And you say, well, actually, you're being billed $10 because if we went into our tags, we can say, right, you're part of the virtual desktop group. So you're running a virtual server, or you're running virtual machines. For example, if I come into my virtual machines, you can see here, I've got 1, 2, 3. These might belong to finance or sales. So you say, well, you're using 2 virtual machines there. So we are charging your department X amount for using those virtual machines, because Azure charges you as well. So that's why tagging is important in terms of, again, managing your resources, and of course, coming back down to billing. And that just about wraps that lab up. I know it's short, guys, but it's a crucial lab, and it is important. And it's like one of those things, you overlook it and it's, well, I don't need it, until you need it. Then you go, holy smoke, I should have done this. And then you're up the creek. So tagging is important. So again, like I said, I know this lab hasn't been that long. We've covered all the fundamentals on Azure. I will work with Kevin, and maybe we'll do some more advanced Azure labs. I don't know what Kevin's plan is, but in terms of those that have been following right from day one, we've done 9 classes on Azure fundamentals for Helpdesk, and we've covered everything from creating virtual machines, networks. storage groups, file shares, tagging, a whole lot of things that we have covered.
SQL, AD Connect.
Yes, SQL, AD Connect. We've deployed container instances. We've deployed a web app. We've created file shares. We've deployed SQL. We've created virtual networks. We've done network peering. We've created separate VNets. We've created VMs. We've deleted VMs. We've attached disks to VMs.
Done over PowerShell, Bash.
We've done PowerShell. We've done Bash. We've done Active Directory. We've done Windows stuff. We've done some Linux stuff. So we've done some really good groundwork. So those that have been following along with Kevin and myself, you would now have a real solid foundation on Azure, and you won't be high and dry like you were when you came on board and you didn't know. So that help desk training that we've done covers the help desk training that you need to know for Azure. Again, like I said, we've covered how to create a budget, how to see what our costs are going to be. We've covered a lot of important things. I mean, there's some things that we haven't covered because those are more advanced topics. So we've covered the fundamentals on security, virtual machines, Active Directory, virtual networks, tags, databases, monitoring, certain things, resource groups,
budget,
and of course, budgets. And again, if you come into the help and support at the bottom here, just before we close off this morning, help and support will allow me to go and, let me just move this out the way, to go and create a support request with Microsoft. So I can go to Microsoft and I can create a ticket and go through the standard procedures and create that ticket. And I could say, I've got a ticket with billing, I've got a technical issue, and I can go through and start looking at what it is that I'm struggling with. I've got an issue with a Citrix virtual machine. I can come down here. I can choose which lab it is. It might be a Citrix DC, or it could be just a general question. I could give them type in a summary of the issue, the problem that I think I'm having. I might say, well, I've got a performance or a configuration issue. So as you start opening up stuff, I could say, right, it's a Zen Desktop Essentials, or it might even just be Zen app itself. And then I could go ahead and obviously briefly describe the issue, give it a problem, what I think the problem is, and then start working my way through and click review and create. And then Microsoft will come back to me with a solution, hopefully. So help and support is a really good place to go. We've got help and support plans where you can have different plans. And of course, if you come onto the help and support plan, this is part of the exam. You can see for the free plan, which is what we have, we've got access to a lot of stuff, but then we can upgrade the support plans. And I want you to understand there's developer, standard, and professional. And each one is different. And this starts at $29 a month, moving up to $1,000 a month. So most companies would have either, depending on your organization, most companies I know, even big companies, have a standard plan because they hire people like you to look after stuff. If it's a big organization that has thousands of employees, then they'll probably have the professional direct plan. But most companies I know that I've worked with in New Zealand, even big companies, believe it or not, stick with the standard plan. So it just depends. Where the key comes into it is the time it will take for Microsoft to resolve it. Standard plan is 4 hours. A professional plan is 2 hours. If it's a business critical thing, I'm still getting my 1 hour support here, and I'm still getting my 1 hour support here. The difference is over here. And as you can see, this is a 4 hour support as opposed to 8 hours. So these are the things that make the plan different. How quick it takes for somebody to respond to that ticket and help you resolve it. And of course, you can see here, it's from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And of course, if you wanted weekends and after business hours, there would be an extra cost involved. Of course, these are things that I want you to know about. And if a resource is tagged, then Microsoft, if they are accessing your subscription on your behalf to help you, they're not going to waste 2 hours trying to find a resource. They can say, right, it's in that tag. So when you create that ticket, you can say it's in the WVD tag. Then they know, so wait, let's go to tags. And I guarantee you, they're going to go to tags to begin with to search for stuff. So the value of tags is really underestimated when it comes to things like this, because this is where it could cost you money not tagging your resources correctly. And again, choosing the type of plan that you want. So again, it's just covering some of those basics of Azure so that at least you can walk away and say, right, I've learned some stuff about Azure. I'm not so stressed anymore with getting up to speed with Azure. Again, you could select your lab. And obviously, if you're in a real world, just bear in mind, if you went and I said, delete that resource group, if I had any resources in here, it would delete all of them. The only way I'm going to get those resources back is by actually getting it from a recovery. And of course, more advanced Azure training talks about just-in-time access, creating backup policies, backing up your virtual machines, restoring your virtual machines, uploading custom images to Azure so you can create your own custom VMs, and adding custom scripts where if you want to create a server with Active Directory already on it, you could go ahead and do that, and that would create a server with AD on it automatic. So when you're logged in, Active Directory is installed, and you would use a script and you would paste that extension into your virtual machine. And those are all advanced topics: load balancing, Azure Bastion, Azure Firewall, firewall policies, firewall management, monitoring, and stuff. So Azure gets more and more complex as you learn more and more. But again, like I say, this whole training exercise that Kevin and I have put together has been designed to give you that foundational knowledge. And that about wraps it up. But before we wrap up, I want to thank everyone that's taken the time to go through all of these videos with us from day one. You guys are just awesome. I hope you guys have learned a lot. It's been a privilege for me to be able to share some knowledge with you, and hopefully you guys will build on your knowledge and explore and expand on your knowledge as well. Again, if you've got any questions, just reach out and say, hey, how do we do this? And we can point you in the right direction, or we could give you some advice based on real world experiences that will hopefully prepare you. Again, keep in touch with Kevin, because Kevin may decide, hey, Ryan, we want to do advanced Azure class, then I'll be happy to do that with them. But again, I don't know what Kevin's schedule's like. So there's a lot of things that come into play when Kevin creates these training courses. He doesn't just sit down and say, oh, well, today I'm going to do an Azure course. You know, he kind of works it out. So he's trying to cater to suit your needs, to help you guys get from A to B. So again, like I say, I hope you guys have had fun. Please go onto LinkedIn, comment what you thought about the training, comment if you've learned anything. All of these are important. And when you comment in LinkedIn, or if you create a lab in LinkedIn, if you've gone through some of the training and you've take screenshots, hey, I've created this lab and posted in LinkedIn. It does a few things for you guys. First of all, when you create a lab, I'll give you a good example. I had a student in Sydney who's in the same boat as you guys. He followed along with the videos and he posted videos up. I've created the virtual machine using the CLI. I've created a virtual machine using the port with little screenshots. This lab was great and gave a little bit of a speech on it. Within a month, he landed a job on his own. Some recruitment people on LinkedIn saw that and said, hey, we've got 5 jobs going, or we got 10 jobs. Oh, we would like you to apply because you've met all the skills. He didn't go looking for the employment agent. The employment agent saw him and came to him. Companies saw him do that. Wow, I don't need to go to employment. I can just talk to this guy directly, and he got a job really quick. So that's the importance of LinkedIn and Discord and all of the networking. Correct, Kevin, networking. And so again, a lot of you guys do the labs. Okay, well, I've done the labs, but I'm still struggling to find a job. And, this is hard. Whatever lab you do, whether you do training with Kevin, or whether you've done this lab, or whether you do a lab on your own, post it up in LinkedIn. Hey guys, I've learned how to do this. Thousands of people get to see it. And remember, it's not just networking professionals, it's companies and recruiters that see that. And they sit up like, wow, he or she's got some skills here. Let me follow them and keep an eye on them. Or, hey, let me send them a message. We've got some job openings. Would you be interested? So in a sense, you're also marketing yourself. You're not waiting for someone to find you a job. You are also doing your bit by doing that. So networking is really, really important. And a lot of people don't do that. And so that's really important that you do that, because it then also creates such a huge buzz, because people get to see, hey, she or he can actually do some stuff. And the word will start traveling slowly, and people will start paying attention to you, because otherwise they just go to your LinkedIn profile. Okay, there's Kevin. Oh, there's Ryan. Okay, well, that's great. And they post a few articles up. Well, that's nice. But the moment you start posting stuff up, hey guys, I've created this. What do you think? You'll be surprised at the feedback. But secondly, other people will take note of what you've done, and it can open other doors. I'm not saying it's going to guarantee that doors are going to be open for you to get a job immediately, but you are opening the door for people to see what you are capable of doing. And I know all of you are smart and capable, and a lot of you tend to sell yourself short. And you mustn't do that. You've got a lot of skills. Don't compare yourself to the next person. Again, just keep on doing what you're doing, and you'll be good at what you do. Practice makes perfect. Create that same lab 3 or 4 times and delete it and recreate it again. Repetition makes a good engineer. And then once you've got that underneath your belt, you can move on to a next topic. And everybody learns at a different speed and a different stage. So again, guys, I'm trying to share some real world knowledge, like I say, with this chap, that he'd been looking for 9 months for a job. 9 months. And he was struggling. And he said, yeah. So he started posting stuff up. He said, hey, Ryan, since I started posting stuff up on how to do a lab, he says, let me tell you, within a short space of time, within 3 months, he had a job offer and job offers 3, and he accepted the one that suited him best. And he's so excited. He says, I didn't realize just how powerful LinkedIn is. So I said to him, yeah, it is powerful. So again, guys, networking, connecting with the right people, learning and sharing and exposing your skill set out into the market is, again, doing your bit at the end of the day. If you spend 15 minutes a day on LinkedIn, connecting with those people, it does open doors. But again, you've got to do your part to open the door. So again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your IT journey. For me, it's a privilege. And I hope I meet you guys again. I hope we do more things with you again. So you guys have just been absolutely awesome. And you guys deserve a pat on the back, because you are doing an amazing job. Yes, you're starting out, but regardless of that, in my book, you guys rock. And if I think you rock, I guarantee you thousands of other people think you rock as well. So again, just keep doing what you're doing and keep being awesome. And again, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to work with me through this course. Anything you want to say, Kevin?
Oh, nothing. I really appreciate you taking the time to show people your knowledge, to educate everyone that's on my channel. Don't really have much to say, honestly, because it's something. One thing for me is not everyone shares their knowledge. So I appreciate that you actually took the time to make these videos with me, and we're definitely gonna make more videos. So
Oh, absolutely.
it's not nothing that it's not that Ryan's gonna leave. No. We're gonna make more videos, more advanced videos, and I wanted to do the entry level stuff because not everyone understands what we're doing. So it's good to start from the bottom all the way to the top, and as we progress with these videos, it's going to get more and more complicated and more advanced. For people that don't know that are watching today that don't know, I actually got a job as a sysadmin. So I'm going to work as a sysadmin in another company, and you're probably going to see more. Well, we're gonna do more. I'm gonna still do the IT support videos, but you're probably gonna see more advanced videos that you've never seen before. So it should be that should be interesting. And me and Ryan are gonna work on more Azure advanced videos too. So it's definitely we're gonna keep doing this, and we'll keep going and we'll keep teaching. We'll keep um, helping people, and it's all participation. At the end of the day, it's a participation. Everyone helps each other out. Ryan is here to teach his stuff. I'm here to teach my stuff too, and we live, we grow, we learn with each other. And that's all I wanted to say. And with that being said, I don't know if Ryan wants to say anything else. I'm going to close this out.
Absolutely, that Kevin is so right. And like I say, guys, starting at the bottom is where we all started. I started there. Kevin started there. Have confidence. Believe in yourself. And definitely you can succeed. Don't try and compare yourself to the next person because everybody's different. And like I say, this is not goodbye forever. The next courses we will run will be more advanced training. And like I say, it could be Azure, it could be VMware, it could be Hyper-V, it could be Citrix, it could be FortiGate firewalls, whatever Kevin decides to do. At the end of the day. And like I say, his knowledge and my knowledge and the knowledge from various other people really do have such a good marriage of skills, because Kevin knows stuff that I may not know. Somebody else may know stuff that I know, but they don't know. So sharing that knowledge with everybody is important. And I always learn as well. I'm learning today as we go about doing stuff. I'm learning all the time. So if someone says, well, I've learned it, I don't need to worry about that. If you've learned it and you've got it underneath your belt, you learn something more advanced and you move forward. Again, thank you so much for your time and effort. And again, I look forward to seeing you in future courses, future little nuggets. And again, you just guys carry on being awesome. And thank you again for your time. And again, it's a privilege and an honor to be able to spend this bit of time with you, because you've taken the time to watch the video and through the training, and you have reaped the benefits. So practice labs, practice doing hands-on, don't be afraid. And if you make a mistake, that's okay. We make mistakes and we move forward and just do it again. So again, thank you everyone for sticking through this training. And I can't wait to see you in the next training session that we present. So keep safe, be safe, and have a great weekend, guys.
Same. Yep. I was going to say the same thing. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys have a good Saturday or whatever day it is where you live. I hope you have a good weekend and stay safe. And thank you for joining us with these videos. We'll continue making more videos, and that's what I said. Like what I said before, it's it's just everyone's trying to help each other. We're not trying to. No one likes hiding knowledge from each other, so we try to help each other. We live, we learn, we grow together. We live, we learn, we grow together. We fail together too. Like if you fail, we pick you up. That's just how it is in IT. Is if you're falling down, we try to pick you up. So don't forget to follow me on Discord. Don't forget to follow Ryan on LinkedIn, because Ryan's always on LinkedIn. And don't forget to just come on Discord, and you can, because I'm always on Discord. So if you want to, you want me to do a mock interview with you, one-on-one mock interview to do like for me to practice with you, so you can prepare for a job interview, just ping me and let me know, and we'll schedule a day and a time, and I'll do like a mock interview to prepare you for your job interview. If you want me to go over like a certain thing, let me know. I'll try and schedule a time with you. I am doing training on my Discord, so I suggest you join my Discord. I'm doing my second training probably next week on Exchange Admin Center and stuff like that. So you might want to join Discord when you have a chance. And that's it. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Thank you, Ryan, for taking the time to share your knowledge. I greatly appreciate it. And it's always a pleasure to have Ryan here to talk, because Ryan has so much knowledge to share with me, and it's something that not everyone's willing to do that. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a good day, and we'll stay tuned for next week. All right, take care. Bye bye.
Awesome. Take care. Bye, guys. Be
Take care,
safe.
guys.
Cheers.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.